The Martian is the movie we are looking at in this retrospective, a movie that I absolutely love and adore, and I've always wanted to talk about it. So, what better time to talk about The Martian than right now? And we're going to discuss how does it hold up? Is it still quality? And is it the best sci fi movie out there? That's what we're going to discuss. Let's get to it. The Martian is a movie directed by Ridley Scott. Now, Ridley Scott is a director who doesn't always hit for everyone else. And as of recent time, some of his movies haven't quite landed for people like they used to. Now, obviously, Ridley Scott gave us the absolutely amazing Alien. That was just an absolute masterpiece when it comes to that type of horror elements added into a sci-fi movie. Absolutely fantastic. Kickstarted, this brilliant franchise that people love and hate. Then you have Gladiator. Man created that as well. One of the classics. He's also then created, obviously, Napoleon. He also created The Last Duel, which I absolutely loved as well. I really liked that. He's created so many movies, some of them not landing for others, but some of them just being absolute 10s, 9s, just absolutely outrageously great. Now, The Martian is a movie about a man being stuck on Mars. Now, you're thinking to yourself, like, what? It's just a man stuck on Mars. But man, this is, to me, Ridley Scott's best movie. I think this is his best movie. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. I adore this film. I think I have it ranked 4th in my top 10 movies of all time. That's how much I love this film. Now, there are so many reasons to why I love this film, and let's just get right into it. Firstly, the cinematography of The Martian is absolutely stunning. Oh my word, this movie may be one of the best looking films out there. It just looks spectacular. When you go to the planet Mars and you see Matt Damon there, you see Mark Watney standing there looking out to the horizon. It's just absolutely gorgeous, man. It really does. It doesn't feel like this is shot on Earth. This actually feels like they kind of shot it on Mars, which is kind of really crazy when you think about it. That's just how incredible it looks. Now, there are some other shots throughout this entire film when you're in space that looks absolutely incredible. When the rockets are taken off look absolutely incredible. Some of the shots when things explode look incredible as well. Like, this film is just so beautiful, man. It really is. And it's a testament to how they actually took the time and effort to create this world, this Mars, made it look like you were actually on Mars, which is absolutely outstanding to do. Like, we see movies like in the MCU now where they struggle to do that. You can tell something's green screen, that's CGI'd and that. Here, you can't really tell that. And it's just absolutely phenomenal. And I really, really enjoyed it. Now, the performances are absolutely spectacular. This is a cast that is just filled with absolute world-class talent. I mean, you've got Matt Damon obviously starring in the film. He's the lead. And he is absolutely superb in this movie. He really is. One of the best performances I've seen him give. It's just absolutely top tier. Then you have Jessica Chastain, who is just... What can I say about her? We all know how talented she is, and she's spectacular in this film as well. You've got Sebastian Stan in there. You've got Michael Pena in there. You've got Kate Mara in there. You've also got Chiwetel Ejiofor in there. You've got Sean Bean in there. You've got Jeff Daniels in there. You've got Christian Wiig in there. You've got Childish Gambino in there. You've got Benedict Wong in there as well. Like, you've got such an array of talent. And every single one of them is just absolutely superb in their roles. They really are. And for the characters that they play, they bring those characters to life to make them feel realistic. Like, when you're watching this film and you're going through and you see the decisions that each character makes, it feels authentic. It feels real. And that's a big thing when you're creating a movie like The Martian that is supposed to be real to a degree. Obviously, it's going to be a bit outlandish in some parts, but it's pretty much grounded in reality to how we perceive the world right now. And to have these characters make decisions based on what you would actually do in that situation in real life needed to be executed correctly. So when you have Jeff Daniels' character, who is the director of NASA, make a decision. You understand why he's making that decision, but then when Sean Bean's character makes a decision, because he is in charge of the crew and everything like that, you understand why he makes that decision. So when you see that, and they counteract each other to come to this conclusion, you understand everyone's motives, and you understand everyone's, the decisions, why they are making these decisions. Like, is it better for the crew? Like, obviously the director is thinking to himself, I can risk one life and then bring 5 home, or I can risk the 5 and potentially bring no one home for one person. So he now has to weigh up that option as well. And it's just absolutely spectacular. It really is, because just these characters are just so real. And then obviously you have the character of Mark Watney, who is left on Mars. This movie showcases you the will of survival within a human being. That's what this is about. This is about a man who sits there after a tragic event happens at the start, where the storm comes in, he gets knocked out, everyone thinks he's completely gone because the life support's not working and that on their thing, they can't detect him, and they have to make the decision, do we go and leave him behind, potentially could be alive, or he could be dead, or do we stay, potentially get marooned here, and then we're all screwed. So they have to make a decision, and this is where Jessica Chastain's character, who's the captain, must make the decision whether to leave them or not. And it's played into her character as well, as she then takes responsibility when they find out that he is alive, that it's her responsibility. I'm the one that made that decision. None of you hold this burden. I'm the one that chose it. It's on me. So you already see her character start to grow there. But as for Mark, when you find out that everyone is gone, you're alive, and you're like, first thing he does is pull this thing out, the antenna thing, pulls that out, gets the gun, which is, it's a scene that just, oh man, it's just, you're watching it, and he's got the tongs in there trying to pull this thing out, and it's just, you can feel the pain, you can feel it. But then obviously once that all comes to an end, and now the realization kicks in, he is now stranded on a planet that is miles, and I mean thousands of thousands and thousands and thousands of miles away from home. Now, this isn't just getting stuck in another country where you're like, okay, it's cool, there's food around, there's stuff like that, I can find a way to survive here. No, you're stuck on a planet. There's no one anywhere near you, no one that can just drop by and go, hey man, here, I'll help you out. You're all alone, by yourself, and now you have to survive. And this is where he starts to go through the rations and starts to figure out, I've got this much food, I need to make it last this much. But then we discover that he is actually a botanist, which means he can now grow his own farm. And that's what he does with the potatoes. He grows the potatoes, and now you're instantly rooting for this character. That's what Ridley Scott does really, really well, is you're rooting for Mark. You want Mark to survive. So this whole entire journey that you go on with Mark and his survival on Mars, you are there with him. You are rooting. You're on the edge of your seat because you're like, I want to see this guy get back. I want him to survive. And then when the big tragic event happens, when he loses his crops, you feel as devastated as he does. Because you're just like, wow, that is just, everything's going smooth sailing. Gonna survive easily. No problems here. Boom. The worst case scenario happens. Now that food supply is gone. You can no longer do that. So now you must ration even more. And what I love is how they showcased you the actual deterioration of his body as he progresses. And when you get to the moments where he's going to Ares 4 landing site, you see the body, you see how skinny he is, the red marks, and you just see that transformation of what this could happen. What could happen to a human being if they were sent onto Mars by themselves with rations. This is what happens, and it's just absolutely fantastic. And you see this character of Mark, who overcomes every obstacle that is thrown at him. He's always on his toes, thinking, what's the next problem? What's the next solution? How do I get through this bit? Like, he makes a decision. He could sit there and just go, well, I'm dead. I'm gonna die. There's nothing I can do. I'm just gonna eat and waste away and just, accepted, and just that's what happened. No, he sits there and he goes, I'm not dying on this planet. I'm not dying. I'm going to make sure I survive. So then he goes through step by step by step, trying to find a way to survive. And it's just that willpower, absolute willpower. It's brilliant. It is really, really brilliant. And then when you get that moment at the end, when they launch him up and then they catch him, they finally get him and bring him in, you get this moment. It's just absolutely superb. But it's the moment just before that when Mark Wahlberg's sitting in the Ares 4 shuttle there on the planet Mars, and he's about to go up, and he can hear Jessica Chastain's character talking to him. And he gets flooded with emotion because he's like, this is it. And like, you put yourself in his shoes, you're willing to take that risk. You're willing to be like, I could either die, I may not get captured or anything like that, and I could die. But there is still that chance that I can get there, they can get me, and I can survive. And you're going to take it, because you're going to die either way. So you're going to take the risk. And it's just absolutely brilliant. That whole scene when he's shot up, the tension building. Now, I'm not a physicist or anything like that. I don't know how logic the Iron Man stuff is, where he cuts the hole in his suit and he, it sends him flying. I don't know if that's like legit could happen, or you just implode as the pressure goes in or whatnot. I don't know the ins and outs of that, so I can't really comment on it. But, it's one of those things where it's just like, okay, a little bit of suspense belief here, that's fine. But it's that moment when it actually comes together and he gets saved. It's absolutely fantastic. Now, there is some comedy throughout the film as well, which I absolutely loved as well. It wasn't enough comedy to overpower the serious tone that was going on, this, the stakes of this guy's life on the line. So that was all great. Really liked it. The banter that he has with his friends is absolutely hilarious. I thought everything about this movie is just absolutely fantastic for me. From the writing, the story itself, the cinematography, the score is absolutely sensational. The pacing. I watch the extended version all the time. I don't watch the theatrical one. I always watch the extended director's cuts, which obviously we know Ridley Scott and other directors like to do that, and I'm all there for it. Absolutely love those ones. They just add more to it. But it's everything about it that is just so perfect about this movie. I absolutely love this movie. To me, if we take out Star Wars, which is obviously my favorite movie of all times, Empire Strikes Back, Revenge of the Sith, New Hope, and Return of the Jedi, if we take that out and put it, to the side, then it's Aliens would be because Aliens is my second favorite movie of all time. So that to me is just like the best sci-fi movie. I absolutely love that movie. But then it's this one. This one to me is definitely in the conversation. I think it's just, I don't think enough people talk about The Martian in the way that we talk about Interstellar. Like, I love Interstellar's like right after. Interstellar's like my fifth favorite movie of all time. I absolutely love Interstellar. I think The Martian is better than that. I do, but by a little bit. Like, I wouldn't hate anyone if they had Interstellar above it. That's fine, because I love Interstellar as well. But I just feel like The Martian doesn't get talked in the same way as Interstellar does. You know what I mean? It doesn't get talked in that, where I feel like The Martian is very much underrated. And when you go back and rewatch it, I've watched this movie so many times, and now watching it again, going back, it holds up, man. This looks better than most movies that come out now. Like, no joke. This movie still looks as gorgeous as it did when it first came out. It makes me wonder where all this money is going to these other movies that don't look good. Like, I'm not talking about like the low budget films. I'm talking about like the Fast and the Furious movies. I'm talking about like those level of budget movies that are like the MCUs and stuff like that, where you look and you're like, wait a second. How are you still green screening that? Like, how? How does that happen? So to me, The Martian, I absolutely love. So I think it needs to be like, it needs to get more flowers. It doesn't get enough recognition for how good it is. For me, it's Ridley Scott's best movie. I absolutely, and I love Gladiator. Don't get me wrong, I love Gladiator. I love Alien. And I really like The Last Duel. And Ridley Scott is a director that I absolutely liked. And like, I even liked his Prometheus. I thought that was a really good sci-fi movie as well. But, he's had some clunkers like Alien Covenant. I'm not a huge fan of that one. and obviously his TV show that he did, Raised by the Wolves, I like the concept in that, but it wasn't quite executed. But look, to me, I just, The Martian is just absolutely phenomenal. It really is. And I think we need to give it more flowers. I think it needs to be talked into the same sentence as Interstellar, as movies like that. I think it's that good. So let me know what you guys think of The Martian. Do you guys share the same feeling I have for this movie? Do you love it as much as I do? Maybe you don't, and that's completely fine. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Smash that like button, click subscribe, and I'll see you guys next video. Until then, stay safe, and peace out.